don't make them like me no more. Matter of fact, they never made them like me before, cause I'm rare, like Mr. Clean with hair. No brake lights on my car, rare. I never had life and I never had fear. I rap like I done died and gone to heaven, I swear. YouTube, what's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I'm LotusAsakura, the one who never knows best, and in today's video we got another sneaker pickup. You see the title, you see the video, so let's go ahead and get into today's unboxing. Like I feel like I say it every video. Lord knows I don't need any more shoes, but I'm sorry, I needed these. I will say this, I've been pretty selective for the most part about the sneakers that I've been picking up, especially this year and definitely within the recent months, because it's so many releases and there's so many shoes that I do like and enjoy. And for me, what's really cool about the sneaker game right now is that the hype is really not there for a lot of stuff. So a lot of things are easy to pick up. Let's go ahead and grab my handy dandy box cutter. But yeah, man, I'm somebody who has a genuine love and passion for sneakers and for sneaker collecting. And so for me, like the fact that the market is kind of like dead right now on most things is a blessing, because that just means that most stuff is easy to get. If you're somebody who genuinely just loves sneakers and you just like rocking kicks and stuff, and you're not looking to make a quick buck or just become the next big reseller or whatever, the game is perfect right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, white cement 4s, grape 5s, just recently released, and like you can find them for retail. You know what I'm saying? Like those are sneakers that should be $300, $400, $500. Well, should be, you know what I'm saying, considering how the sneaker market typically has been historically, or at least for like the last 10 to 15ish years or so. You know what I'm saying? That's a sneaker that you would be expecting, especially with how good those retros are and the quality of those releases. But hey, it is what it is. But anyway, in today's video we have a shoe that to me is one of the best releases of the year, and I know not everybody feels that way, but for me these were a must cop. Ever since I saw the first photos of the sneaker back in like maybe in January, I knew that this was going to be a release that I absolutely had to get my hands on. And yeah man, I'm excited for this one. I'm actually very, very excited for this one. So let's just go ahead and slide that bad boy out of there and just you know what I mean? But here in this box, I have what is honestly, for me personally, I know everybody ain't gonna agree with this, but for me personally, is one of the most anticipated sneakers of the year, one of the best releases of the entire year. I know the resale value on these plummeted, and they're honestly sitting on shelves and in stores and even online at a lot of places, which is great for me. You know what I'm saying? That means that they were an easy pickup. Now, I've been trying to be more selective about the pairs that I buy lately, and I actually passed up on the Aqua 8s that recently released, even though I wanted those a decent amount, because I was like, well, I gotta pick and choose. I can't grab everything. There's too many back-to-back banger after banger releases, especially with Jordan Brand this year. And I'm glad I passed on those, because they're not really selling for too much, and they actually restocked a couple of times, and that's a shoe that's sitting for basically around retail, and I'll probably find a pair under retail at some point. Now, probably could have done the same with these, but for me this was a shoe that I wanted so bad that I didn't want to take the chance on the resale jumping back up, on these selling out, on me not getting a pair or whatever. So it just is what it is. Hindsight's 2020. I didn't want to take the risk, so we got them. Here today we have the Air Jordan 4 Retro, black, fire red, and deep royal blue. And if I can go ahead and get the camera to go ahead and focus on the box and give you guys a look at the label, see it there for yourself in that good old size 11 for your boy. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at these. When you crack the box open, you're presented with that Jordan Flight logo there inside the box lid, as well as that cement print paper. And it looks like these actually come individually wrapped, which is pretty cool. Maybe you could argue that that's a bit of a waste of paper, to be honest, but it is what it is. I kind of like it as far as the presentation goes. If we go ahead and get that out of there, oh, they even nicer in person. Go ahead and get that paper off to the side. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the Air Jordan 4 Retro Rare Air. I don't care what nobody say, this is one of the illest releases of the year. This colorway is ridiculous, and the nubuck on these is pretty nice, and the suede on the toe, I like that a lot. You know, I honestly got a lot of things I want to get off my chest when it comes to sneakers and hype and resale right now, and some of the releases so far. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion at the end of the day, and what you have as sneaker of the year is entirely up to you. You know what I'm saying? I don't really care about those conversations necessarily, but I've been seeing it come up lately about comparing the undefeated Jordan 4s versus the brick by brick Jordan 4s. that release. My sneakerheads, y'all know what both of them shoes are. If you're somebody who's on the channel and you just watch these videos because you rock with me, you may not know, but I'll throw them up on screen right now. So the Brick by Bricks released earlier this year, you know, the red Nigel Sylvester joints, Bike Airs, and the Undefeated 4s are making a return, and honestly, damn near releasing for the first time because they were so limited before. You can't even really call it a real release, but they're releasing in a couple of days, both at Undefeated locations and on the Sneakers app, and later this month or later in August and whatever. Anyway, I've been seeing the debate come up over and over and over again about what's better between those shoes, and to me, it's the Undefeated hands down. But I want to take it a step further. I bring that up because for me personally, I'm taking these over the Brick by Bricks. I don't think that the Brick by Bricks are a top 5, maybe even top 10 release of the year. I don't hate the shoe, but I don't really think they all that special personally. Now, some people will say, oh, but it's the materials, they premium, which I don't buy. I think is a load of BS, because if that's how people really feel, these is pretty damn nice. So why are they sitting on shelves? The White Cement 4 is one of the most classic, iconic shoes and colorways of all time. Might be the best retro of that shoe ever. Nobody wants them. Grape 5s might be the best retro of that shoe ever. Nobody wants them. There's plenty of shoes, and those are just the first couple that come to mind. There's plenty of shoes with great quality or good materials that are released that aren't hyped up like that or aren't worth a whole lot. It's not about the materials. Y'all don't care about that. Frankly, most people don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to the quality of materials on certain shoes. They just think if the leather is soft, that means that it's good, which is fine if you just prefer soft leather. But I just hate how people try to make it seem like they're so intelligent and knowledgeable about certain topics to justify why they fall for the hype on certain shoes. If you like the way the shoe look, that's cool. If you like the materials on the shoe and how they feel, that's cool. If you fell for the hype, it is what it is. But like, don't try to convince me otherwise, or try to convince me that the shoe is a lot better than it actually is. That being said, I also find it a bit ironic. This has turned into a rant video. I also just find it a bit ironic that like a shoe like that got so hyped, because like, you know, we did the whole all red theme. You know, we've had red sneakers before, like the Raging Bull 5s, for example, but like all red sneakers became like super trendy when the Red October Yeezy 2s released way back when, and that was a fad for a while, and then that kind of got deaded, and everybody thought that was like played out. But when you make the shoe limited enough, I guess people don't care about that no more. But this video ain't about the Brick by Bricks, it's about the rare Air Force. Let's go ahead and do a quick little overview of the sneaker and admire it in all of its beautiful glory. So starting with the outsole, if I can go ahead and get that to focus, you can see that here at the toe where the stars are, we've got that hit of fire red, and we've got that deep royal blue here on the traction, followed up with some cement gray. I'm gonna assume that's cement gray, doesn't say so on the box, but this looks like sail and cement gray to me, which is, you know, Jordan Brand's notorious for using the color, so that's probably a safe bet. But we got hits of sail and cement gray on the outsole, followed up by that deep royal blue Nike hit, and then the fire red here on the heel. Then moving on up to the midsole, you can see we got more of that cement gray, sail here on the midsole, white air unit, it looks like inside, with some semi-gloss black paint. I would say this is very comparable to the paint that's on like the Bread Jordan 4, for example, which I do have around here. We might do a little comparison of those actually. Although that being said, these definitely gave me Bread vibes at first, with like a little twist, obviously with some red and blue thrown in there. Like, it's, you know, black and red Jordan 4, you're immediately gonna think Breads, right? But now that I have these in hand, they actually remind me a lot more of the Fear Jordan 4s, which is another sneaker that once upon a time was more limited and highly coveted, and people thought they were oh so fire and so dope, and everybody wanted them. And now that anybody can have them, nobody wants them, which, you know, it is what it is. And you can make the argument that like that's not always necessarily how it is, and there's like correlation there, but it's not like direct, because the Undefeated 4s are about to be way more available than ever before, but they're still going to be pretty pricey. Significantly less though, because that's a shoe that was worth 5 figures at one point. It's probably going to be, after all the releases and all the drops, $400 to $500, maybe $600-700 tops. That's they kind of around like that $700 price point right now. Anyway, back to these. I keep getting off topic. Here on the midsole, you can see we got that hit of sail, black, and then we have the blue right here as well, which pops a lot more in person than it even did in the photos online. I like it quite a lot. And then moving on up towards the upper, we have a ton of this black nubuck, and this nubuck, like I said, reminds me a lot of the Jordan 4 Fear. As a matter of fact, let me grab those. Well, we'll go throughout the rest of the shoe, and then I'll grab them and we'll compare them side by side to the Bread 4s and the Fear 4s. But we also have like this really nice suede that contrasts pretty well with the rest of the shoe. And I know people have this obsession with the suede, you know what I'm saying? You see the color going back and forth as you swipe on the suede. I know that's always like a big indicator for people of whether or not the suede is good, which to me, that's more so indicative of like how long the suede is more than anything. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's like of a particularly high quality always. But I mean, I do enjoy it as well, so I get it. Yeah, and I'm not really sure if this is also meant to be black or if that's more of like a dark charcoal or what you really want to call that, but it is obviously of a lighter shade than the rest of the upper on the shoe. And so it contrasts really well. I like the way that it pops and just gives a really nice look to the sneaker without having too many more like colors going on. I think the red and blue hits that the shoe have stand out very well without doing too much, and I like it. It's like subtle pops of color as opposed to like being like super loud. Like you can still rock these without it being like, you know what I'm saying, too crazy. We also have this blue plastic Nike Air hang tag here. You flip that up, you can see we've got black netting, black mesh under the netting, these matted out wings and here on the eye stay, and then we also have these red hits on the eyelets here near the tongue. The tongue itself is also more of that black rubber and that mesh. And then what also makes these particularly special is in fact the tongue. As you can see on this left shoe, and I don't think I even took out the right shoe. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. So you'll notice that on one of these shoes, the tongue tag is actually upside down. The Flight logo and the Jumpman is upside down. I don't know if everybody's pairs are arriving like that, but that is how mine arrived. But this patch is actually removable. So if let's just go ahead and take this one for example. It's actually Velcro, and it's actually like way stronger than I would have expected. But here you can see that the Jordan Flight patch is actually removable from the tongue, which is like a feature of the original Jordan 4 Rare Airs. Now I say original, this isn't necessarily a retro of a Rare Air 4, but there was a colorway before these that came out that we called the Rare Airs that had the exact same feature where it said Jordan Rare Air under the removable tongue patch. If I could get the camera focus, there we go. So you'll see on my pair, Jordan Rare Air is actually written in white. I forget what the numbers are, but they say it's like 1% or 2% or 10%. Some small percentage of pairs out there actually have gold writing instead of white. Me personally, I really don't care one way or the other. Like the gold pairs, I guess, more exclusive, more limited, more rare, and so that makes them slightly more valuable. Really doesn't matter to me. At the end of the day, the shoe is still the shoe regardless, and it's such a small detail. And again, I said that I have appreciation for small details, and there are certain things that do make a big difference. Like for example, these feature a Nike Air logo on the back as opposed to a Jumpman, which is usually preserved for more of like the original colorways, although they do have other shoes that they've been putting this on, such as collaborations usually, as well as those OG retros, or even like the Undefeated, which I guess is a collaboration. But it's funny that those have a Nike on the back because they originally had a Jumpman, but it is what it is. But those also feature the same thing, where on the tag or on the tongue, you can remove the patch and you can rock it with it, without it, flip it upside down, have it kind of like this. I have heard people saying that once you remove this so many times, it gets harder and harder to like lay it down flat. So I'm not going to try to toy with that too much. We're just going to kind of leave it like that for the moment. But yeah, you can do whatever you want with these. Low key, I might rock them upside down just for a little extra flavor, or one upside down and one right side up, whatever the case may be. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But yeah, man, these are incredible. I'll give you guys a nice little look at that back tab. As I already mentioned, we had a blue back tab that's very reminiscent of like the military blues to me, with the Nike Air, which I kind of thought was written in white, but looking at it now, it's definitely more of like that cement gray, but very beautiful. We earlier this year also got the Rare Air Jordan 3s, but for me personally, I think these are significantly better. And it's interesting because I feel like before both shoes came out, it seemed to me like people were leaning more towards the 3s and they thought those were better. They're okay. I didn't really care for them. I personally passed on that shoe, and I'm glad that I did because they have basically no value, which just means that if I do want to pick those up at some point, I can get them a lot cheaper. I think I saw a pair earlier, like the 140 bucks, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, biding my time on a lot of releases this year, because even stuff that I want, I don't necessarily always got to get it right away. Like I said, same could have applied to these, but these I needed immediately. But yeah, man, I like the 4s a lot more than the 3s, but the 3s are growing on me more and more, especially as that price continues to fall further and further. If I get a pair for like $100 or less, how can you pass that up? The 3s do actually feature Nike on their back tabs as well, but one of them is actually flipped. It's like mirrored and like reversed a little bit, which makes it a little bit cooler. And low key, it would have looked pretty cool on this shoe as well, in my opinion. Anyway, all that being said, I went out on tangent after tangent after tangent. I mentioned that there was an earlier shoe that was very similar to this that we called the Rare Airs. Well, back in 2006, there was the Lightning and Thunder Jordan 4s, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with at this point, the all yellow pair and then the black and yellow pair. I actually have the Lightning 4s, but those are deep in the closet right now and I don't feel like pulling them out. But there was a third colorway that I actually dropped that was also pretty limited, not necessarily as valuable, but it was called the Tour Yellow Jordan 4, or the Rare Air Jordan 4, which to my knowledge was the first pair to actually feature this removable tongue tag and the Jordan Rare Air writing behind the patch. And no, those are cool. And honestly, I like those more than I like the Thunders. I like the Lightnings the most out of the three, but I always did like the Tour Yellows. Never owned a pair. The Thunders I was never really a big fan of. I ended up getting the Red Thunders just so I could use those as trade bait, and I flipped them for something else. But yeah, the Yellow Thunders, the Red Thunders, even the White Thunders, I'm really not a big fan of. The White Thunders are probably the best out of the three to me. They just look the cleanest. I don't know. That's just me. I know people are going to disagree with that. I think I have some really interesting takes and tastes and opinions on a lot of sneakers these days. I feel like I get called a contrarian a lot, but I don't know. I just don't necessarily always go with what everybody else like. I have my own thoughts, my own opinions, my own taste, my own style. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. But yeah, man, the Tour Yellows, those released back, and I want to say like 2006, and then you had the Undefeateds that also had this patch. And Jordan Brand has been doing this thing all year long where they have all these different rare air releases. They had 2 pairs of Jordan 1 rare airs, which y'all know Jordan 1s are my personal favorite sneaker. I was not a fan of those, of either colorways. I definitely passed on those and probably won't ever pick those up. Yeah, just really wasn't a fan. We got the 3s, we got the 4s, which I think are by far the best. Like, to me, this is probably the best rare air shoe ever if you're not counting the Undefeateds. There's been other samples and stuff that like never got released but then did get released recently. Then you have the rare air 11s that are releasing later this year, which I personally think are garbage, but that's just me. That's just me. But out of all the lineup, at least for this year, of like the rare air titled sneakers, these are by far the cream of the crop. And like I said, for me personally, this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. This is a top, probably, I want to say top 10 for sure, maybe top 5, but we had a lot of dope shoes. It might, for me, it's a top 5 pickup because every shoe that dropped that I wanted, I haven't gotten, like the Union Chicago Shadows or the 85 Bread Highs. But I mean, you got these, the White Cement 4s, the Grape 5s, the reimagined Metallic 5s. Most of those, I mean, I got all of those. I didn't get the Unions, but got everything else. But I mean, I'm taking these over a lot of other shoes. I probably would prefer the Undefeateds over these just because I'm a real big fan of like those types of colors. Like olive green is one of my favorite colors personally. I really like those earth tone and like dark green kind of vibes and everything like that. That's definitely a shoe that's up my alley that I can see myself rocking a lot. And granted, like these are mostly black, so these are gonna be pretty versatile as well. I could wear these with a lot of fits. But that olive green is kind of more my personal style. And it's only July right now, so we got some other releases that have yet to be seen. Like I said, Undefeated's coming soon. Shattered Backboards, which Shattered Backboards is cool. Again, I don't dislike that shoe, but I never thought they was all that. I'm pretty sure that shoe is going to be worth almost nothing when it does finally release. Even right now, you can find them close to retail and they haven't even dropped yet. So that's going to be a shoe that you, as crazy as it sounds, in 2025, you might be able to get those under retail at some point. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I might not even go for them when they drop because I'm probably going to be able to find those down the line, to be honest. Steel 10s coming soon. I'm probably taking these. Personally, I got these over Shattered Backboards easy. I got these over the Steel 10s. I got these maybe. Nah, I can't say. I was gonna say maybe over the Grape 5s, but I don't really know if I can say that right now. Definitely not over the White Cement 4s, but these might be like my 3rd favorite pair of 4s in the collection now that I got them. Taking the Breads, taking the White Cements, but I might got these over Fire Reds, Militaries, and Lightnings. I think those are all the 4s that I have, if I'm not mistaken. I could be forgetting a pair, but I think that's all of them. But real quick though, let me go grab the Fears and the Bread 4s and let's compare these side by side, and you can kind of see what I was saying when I say that these remind me more of the Fears than the Breads. So here we got the right shoe of my Bread 4s, and you know, at first glance, he's like, oh, like these just look like the Breads, but with some blue thrown in there. But they're actually decently different, obviously. And if I hold these up, you can see the material on them. For one, the Breads are a much like deeper, richer, like darker shade of black, and just the material itself is pretty different. Now, I don't know how well that's gonna show up on camera, but if you just get like a good look at the toe, you can kind of see how different not only the shade of black is. If I could get the camera to actually lock in for one moment, that would be very nice, Mr. Nikon. There we go. But yeah, you can definitely see it. It's the rare airs almost look ashy in comparison, but it's not that they're ashy, it's just that the Breads are just like that jet black, you know what I mean? But if we set this to the side and actually grab the Fear Jordan, you can see that it's actually very similar. And then in this comparison, the rare airs are a lot darker than the Fears, which I don't know if the Fears are meant to be black or if this is supposed to be, again, like a charcoal or dark gray or whatever. But they do a very similar thing where it's like you have like a lot of black and then contrast it with like some lighter shades or whatever. But yeah, the Fear 4s are funny, man, because I remember back in the day, again, this was like such a coveted sneaker, and I remember I had a pair that I sold for like a worn pair, mind you, for like 400, 450 or something like that. And now you can just get these for like $150, you know what I mean? Which I love, you know what I'm saying? It's a blessing and it's a curse because like sneakers are so easy to pick up these days. You know what I mean? There's so many releases that are easy to get your hands on, but I do not have infinite money, I fear. So there's stuff that I'd be having to pass on that I really don't want to pass on. Like I own more shoes than ever before, and my wallet has never been sadder because, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it just is what it is. But you can kind of see what I was saying when it comes to like how these shoes like contrast with like the different shade. Obviously, it's a lot more stark on the Fear 4s than it is on the Rare Airs. But the material, like the nubuck that is on the majority of the shoe, it feels and looks very similar. I don't really know exactly how to describe it, but you know how like it's almost, for one, it's like a very short nubuck, right? And it's like really like tightly packed, but also there's like a, I don't want to say it's got like a shine to it, but I don't really, if you own these shoes, and you kind of know what I mean. If you don't, then obviously I'm doing a horrible job explaining it, but there's almost like a certain luster to it, if that makes sense. I don't really know if I can get that to come across on camera, but you see how like, even though they're like really dark, there's almost like a little bit of like light you can see reflecting off of them to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But yeah, these actually remind me of the Fear 4s more than the Breads now that I have them in hand. It's kind of like a combination of both, and I think these are both incredible colorways. So, you know what I just realized? I sat there and talked about all the Jordan 4s that I have and making a comparison and like saying like where these rank amongst them. Whole time I got these sitting beside me and they've been in my hand for 5 minutes, and I'm just now realizing that I didn't mention these in my list of, forgive me y'all, it's late at night when I'm recording this, and it oh Lotus, you so crazy, man. But anyway, yeah, the Rare Air Jordan 4, I think these are incredibly dope. Like, this is a sneaker that low-key I could even see myself doubling up on if they really like plummet that far in value. Like I said before, they had some value. People was feeling the 3s more, and then the 4s kind of like jumped up, I want to say, when that early release happened, I think at All-Star, and people were like, damn, these is crazy. It was going for like $400 or $500, especially if you had the pair with the gold behind the patch. And I think when stock numbers came out, people realized that they weren't very limited and they was going to be easy to get. The value tanked, which made them easy to get. And if they keep going down even further, if I can end up getting another pair for like close to $100 at some point, I might go ahead and do that, to be honest. So, because I personally like these that much. But y'all let me know, where do these rank amongst your releases of the year? Where do these rank amongst Jordan 4 releases all time and of this year? Like I said, I got the Undefeateds and the White Cements in these over the Brick by Bricks personally. That's probably a very unpopular opinion. I don't think most people are gonna agree with, but it is what it is. And then in terms of like where these rank amongst the Jordan 4s that I own, I'm taking Breads and White Cements. You can't, like, come on now, blasphemy to go otherwise. But then after that, it might be a tie between these. I'm not gonna lie, my Fears I like a lot. I think this is a super underrated shoe. I always thought they were as dope as people thought they were back then. And I kind of missed having a pair, so when they came back out, I got them. I actually picked these up while I was out in Japan, which I talked about in the pickup video that I did when I posted when I came back. But these have been decently heavy in my rotation lately. I've been throwing these on the run to the store or go to the gym and stuff. Just kind of been leaving them out the box, and so they're just easy to throw on just because, you know the saying, out of sight, out of mind? Well, likewise, when something's in your sight, it be on your mind, right? So a lot of my shoes, they're in, you know, display boxes and drop fronts or whatever, but a lot of my shoes is boxed up. So if I wear a pair of shoes and then I leave them by the door, or I leave them sitting around in my office, I'm likely to throw them on again just because I see them. If I got to go dig for something, like even in this video, I was too lazy to go grab the Lightnings because they in the box, in the closet, under a stack of other boxes, and I was like, I don't really, you know what I'm saying? The Breads was near the top because they're the Breads, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Jordan 4 Rare Airs, I'm feeling them. I'm feeling them a lot. I was in love with this shoe when we first saw them get revealed, and I like them even more now that I got them in person. But y'all let me know where these rank, where these stack up for y'all. Did you sleep? Did you cop? How you feeling? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit this video with a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can stay tuned for all awesome content I plan on bringing you. And with all that being said, that's pretty much all I have for today. Remember, let's get after to spin the bad. Later.